All right, so this video is going to be some basic Russian phrases. So the idea here is that being from Texas, from the United States, there's a lot you need to understand that's different about the language, and basically these are the most simple phrases that you need to, maneuver or communicate, get what you need in society, and where some of the confusions could be. So obviously the first things to say are hi or hello, basically the same thing. One of them is just more complicated to say. Привет is hi, and здравствуйте is hi. So that's really where you should start. But, there's a lot more to it, to different people. So it's not that big of a deal. So let's talk about time. There's 4 basic words you need to have in order to actually communicate with regards to time. When you learn Russian, you go through a period of thinking, at least if you consider history, where you realize that there was a time when people didn't know what time it was. And it's interesting to think of it all, but, when speaking of time itself, the word to use is bremya. That's a word for time. The word for when, W-H-E-N, is kogda. It's obvious that you need to know when, or at least how to say it. And wait, W-A-I-T, is shrok. And the last word, just wait a sec, is chas. Say chas. Just means wait. Just hold on a second. Important stuff. How about yes and no? Simple words, simple basic constructs of language. No is niet, often ni, and yes is da. And you'll find many situations where, you'll hear rapid successions of words that sound similar. Just don't forget the context. All right, let's talk about placement. These are like location words. In other words, where is something? There's a couple different ways to say where. Kuda is, where is it? Kuda. You can also say gdai, means where. But similar to kuda, which means where, is tuda, and tuda means there. So tuda and kuda sound the same, but mean completely different things that are both based on location. There's also suda, which means here. So suda, kuda, and tuda. And then there is tam, which means there, like tuda. And then there is this, or this, which means here, or suda. So gdai, kuda is where. Tuda, tam is there. Suda, this is here. 6 basic location words to know where something is. Let's talk about how and choice. And when you learn Russian, you'll quickly find out that there is a root word that means how, which is similar to choice, but there's also another word for choice. So a choice is a very simple thing, right? I have this shirt or this shirt or this shirt, and I can choose which one I want. So you could say something like, which shirt, какой is the word. And you can also say который, which basically means the same thing, which shirt. But the word какой is rooted from как, which means how. So to say how about something, how do I do this? Well, you have to actually do it. You have to, it is how you do something. That's the difference between который and какой, is the fact that какой is based from как. And как means how. Который and какой mean which. WHICH. So we'll do this and that. Two words, very, very common. Confused is the same thing. You would think the word this and the word that, and sometimes people argue about what the difference is, and what they're talking about, and they love to get in little arguments about it. But from any practical approach, it's basically the same thing, this and that being a little bit more distant or a little bit, more pointed, and this being something a little bit closer, and that's pretty much it. This and that. The word for this is это. The word for that is ta. So here we are at the marina. Let's talk about some survival words. These are just basic words that you need to be able to communicate with people. At the level of what way do I go, which way do I go, and are you really telling me the truth? There could be situations where you would want to know if something was honest or truthful. And the word right is used and things like this, but basically to say truth is pravda. And pravda just means truth. A pravda, a truth. But it's very close to the word prava, which means to turn right. And of course, if you're talking about, left and right turns, the other word is nalivo. And nalivo means to turn left. So these are, very important words for survival. Two other important words for survival are, how to be talking to someone and just say, all right, fine, okay. And the word for that is harsho. It just means, okay, harsho. It's very important. And the other word is work, or job, or, I don't know if task is necessarily different because it may be a subclass of work itself. But the easiest way to say work is robota. And yes, robota means work. Let's talk about 3 words that are very old and very important and everywhere they're the same. You can trust them no matter where you are in Russia. And those words are what, the number 100, and stop. They all sound the same. Sto means 100, like how many rocks are there? Sto, like what is that? Sto means what? Sto means 100. And stoi means stop. If you get into the usage of these words, there's really no word that's similar in meaning or location based. There's a lot of different areas of Russia that are separated by large expanses. And these 3 words aren't. They're common, they're everywhere, and known by all. Let's talk about words for relations. Just 3 basic words that you need. You need to know how to say thank you. That's spasiba. Spasiba. You need to know how to say, good. Like a lot of people say dobre, but also krasiva. And friend. Friend is a good word. Drug. Drug is friend. So those are 3 words that are really important, just in relation or how to interact with people. That's about all. All right. Food and money. We're gonna group those together because they're both really important. First, it's weird because I'm saying they're really important based on the fact that they also are very similar to the words that describe the day or today or tomorrow. And it simply all needs to be explained together, food and money, to be understood as far as, how you would group things together. First, let's just get through the concept of how to explain, money and food and day, and just say it. Dingy is money. Ding is day. So that's dingy and day, money and day. And then food, zavtrak, is basically the same word as tomorrow, zavtra. So that's why this is all grouped together. You have, in explaining the day, din being today, zavtrak being breakfast, zavtra being tomorrow, utra being morning, Segodnya being today, not necessarily day, noche being night, and that's how the day fits into food and money as far as explanation. It's basically based on breakfast and money. So with that out of the way, we'll talk about the actual stuff. Food, this is food. Jeda, food. All right? And on the subject of food, you have breakfast and lunch and dinner in English. They just say zavtrak for breakfast and then obed for lunch and dinner. So that's easy. And then dini, remember dini and din is, day and money. So this is Russian money. These are Russian paper bills or paper currency, whatever you want to call them. This is a 500. This is 100. You can see it says 100 ruble. Here's some older money. This is a 200. This is 20 ruble. And then we have some coins also. Just 5 ruble. 5 rubles. 10. And still on the subject of dini, of money, you have cards obviously in Russia that you can use as money. This is a Sberbank card. The Mir card, it's basically like competitor of Visa and MasterCard, and it works where it works. Sberbank is the bank that issues the Mir card. They're all organized to use the Mir transaction network, or however they have that figured out. It's one bank, Sberbank. They're good. They'll help you out. This is Tinkoff. This is a new card I got. They're more technological. It's secure because, well, if you're gonna send money, go ahead. And that's convenient, and it works. Visa and MasterCard don't have that, so Mir does, but Mir only works in Russia. These are 2 cards, one from Tinkoff, one from Sberbank. All right, people. How to discuss people. The first one you might want to know is who, and that word is kto. Who, kto. Very simple. Probably want to know, you or yourself, or it's actually the word me and mine. But mani is me, and it basically means on me or me. It's the simplest way of explaining that you're talking about yourself. And moi or moya is mine. So if you have something or you own something, it's yours. It's very simple to understand. So you could own this, and it would be yours. You just say moi. Vash is yours. In other words, not mine, but yours. Vash. And then perhaps the most confusing thing about people, or about talking about people in the Russian language, is the simple fact that there are so many words for you. So you will be learning and you'll think, oh yeah, well, I know how to say you, and then of course you'll hear another word for you. Now, they all have slight differences that are, reasoned in the language, but I'm not that far yet as far as understanding it all. So I think it's easier to just make them all you and learn that first. So here's the list of them. Was is you. Debli is you. Vam is you. Tebya is you. Tebi is you. All of these words, practically, you might as well just say mean you.